Apple's market capitalization experienced a dramatic swing in 2025 around the iPhone 17 launch announcement this September. When Apple announced iPhone 17 on September 11th, investors immediately reacted negatively to the company's main selling point strategy overall. The company promised breakthrough features and AI capabilities that wouldn't actually be available at launch date initially for all users. This created a significant credibility gap between what Apple promised to deliver and what customers could actually experience immediately today. The company lost approximately $118 billion in market value during the first week after the announcement completely. Skepticism spread rapidly through the market as investors questioned whether Apple had truly delivered any meaningful innovation this time around. Initial pre-sales figures for iPhone 17 made the situation considerably worse, as the numbers came in much lower than expected. iPhone 17 pre-orders reached approximately 37 million units, representing a decline of roughly 12% compared to iPhone 16. The Pro models performed even worse, with even sharper drops in consumer interest and demand compared to standard iPhone 17. Investors questioned whether there was genuine consumer demand for upgrading to iPhone 17 from their current iPhone generation today overall. The narrative of a major iPhone supercycle seemed to be falling apart completely as analysts' concerns grew rapidly throughout markets. Analysts worried this initial weakness would continue through the crucial holiday shopping season when Apple generates massive annual revenues always. However, as September progressed into October, the market's overall perception began shifting dramatically in a surprisingly positive direction forward. Real user reviews and early adopter feedback became available online. Surprisingly, people started appreciating iPhone 17 quite a bit. The camera improvements, especially in computational photography technology, were rated significantly higher than investors and analysts had expected previously overall. The performance improvements with the new chip exceeded all industry benchmarks and expectations set by technology analysts before launch date. Developer enthusiasm for the upcoming features grew substantially as beta versions became available for testing and development purposes completely. Retailers reported increasingly stronger sales figures than initial pre-orders had suggested, indicating genuine consumer demand building momentum as time progressed. Institutional investors and analysts began revising their financial estimates upward after seeing positive data from retailers and consumer feedback sources. They realized that while pre-sales were weaker, the overall demand was actually building momentum steadily behind the scenes throughout markets. The market also recognized Apple's strong pricing power and the loyal customer base willing to upgrade despite initial hesitation existing. Financial institutions upgraded their price targets significantly as they recognized the potential for strong quarterly earnings in the coming periods. The stock began climbing consistently as more positive earnings outlooks emerged from analyst teams at major investment banking institutions worldwide. By early October 2025, Apple recovered the $118 billion loss completely and then some remarkably. Apple surged an additional $420.6 billion in market capitalization beyond what they had previously lost. This massive gain represented investor confidence returning to Apple after they recognized that iPhone 17 would indeed drive revenue growth. The combination of improved sales data, positive consumer sentiment, and anticipation of new features created a catalyst for surge forward. Developer communities embraced the new capabilities offered by iPhone 17, which increased overall market perception of the device's true value. Social media platforms filled with positive user experiences and testimonials about iPhone 17 performance, camera quality, and overall user experience. Financial analysts on major networks began featuring more bullish reports about Apple's future prospects and revenue growth potential going forward. The stock momentum attracted new institutional investors who had previously been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for clearer market signals. Mutual funds and pension funds increased their Apple holdings significantly as the company demonstrated resilience and market confidence returned steadily. Weekend sales data showed that iPhone 17 was actually performing quite well in retail environments despite the weak initial pre-order numbers. Supply chain reports indicated that Apple was struggling to keep iPhone 17 Pro models in stock at many retail locations worldwide, This supply shortage actually validated market concerns that demand was higher than initial pre-sales data had suggested to investment community. Tech analysts revised their unit sales estimates upward significantly. After observing the actual retail demand patterns emerging from store data, earnings expectations for Apple's next quarterly report increased dramatically as analysts factored in stronger than expected iPhone 17 sales performance. The anticipation of feature launches throughout 2025 created additional catalyst for stock price appreciation and investor enthusiasm significantly. Market sentiment shifted from Apple disappointed to Apple will dominate premium smartphone market. Within just a few weeks of sales data, $420.6 billion gain reflected the market repricing Apple's value based on new information developments. Competitors like Samsung face questions about their own strategies when Apple's market capitalization surge demonstrated investor confidence in Apple's direction. Apple demonstrated remarkable resilience by recovering losses and surging forward, reminding markets why it remains the world's most valuable company. The entire episode highlighted how markets overreact to initial announcements, but ultimately reward companies that deliver real value improvements. Consumer adoption patterns for iPhone 17 eventually vindicated Apple's strategy of positioning the device as the premium smartphone for everyone. By October 2025, Apple had proven that despite initial market skepticism, the iPhone 17 launch was ultimately successful. The lesson from this Apple market cap journey shows that patience and real-world data eventually override initial investor pessimism. Apple's recovery and surge ultimately validated the company's approach to innovation. Even though the path to success was neither smooth